A very good afternoon. Welcome to Bophelong. I am Basil, taking you through the next half an hour of personal stories of individuals who dare to dream and change the world for the better. One such individual we have on the show today is natural medicine practitioner who took matters into his own hands when faced with cancer. Basil Gold now lives cancer-free and shares his story with the hope to offer alternative means to overcome various diseases.
Hi, my friend. Hey, how long?
Meet Basil Gold, a 75-year-old living his life like a 35-year-old, simply because of taking on a healthy lifestyle. He started performing in a circus from an early age. Before he went on to tell us about his life, he wanted to prove to us how healthy and strong he is at age 75.
I was born in South Africa, in Port Elizabeth actually, in a little suburb called Kensington. Very poor. My father was in the war and we had to go to the clinics on twice a week or 3 times a week to go and get bread and milk, because we had no money those days, 1941, when I was born, which means obviously now I'm 75. And so from Port Elizabeth, I eventually left there, joined the circus, as you know, and traveled.
Trying to improve his family life, Basil moved from Port Elizabeth.
I first came to Johannesburg from Port Elizabeth, worked in the mines down below ground. Not very good for a little guy like me. I was coughing up blood, and so I eventually joined the family and worked in stores. We had stores in Johannesburg. Met my wife, married her, opened up a big petrol station, a motor garage in Johannesburg, and in 1972 I sold that because I was a singer, I was a race car driver, and I wanted to see what my chances were in America.
Being in a foreign country, his life was about alcohol and parties.
Then after I started doing all this, I decided it's time for me to do television. So I started off with MTV and I started producing music because I was in the music business, you know. So I started producing musical acts with Black Sabbath, Guns N' Roses, Motorhead, and these all then became my friends, and I became Wine, Women and Song. That was my life in Hollywood. Moved over to Hollywood, and then my life began as Wine, Women and Song.
One evening, his life took an unexpected turn.
My limousine had blocked some cars who wanted to get out. And in Hollywood, just about everybody's on drugs. Just about everybody. And some guy who was on tick-tick-tuck, whatever they call the things, he came out with a baseball bat as I approached my limousine, and he broke my ribs. They rushed me to hospital, no time for ambulances, pulled in the surgeon there. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. He didn't know what to do. He was 1 week in hospital and I was absolutely perfect, back to normal. But during that time, the doctor looked at the x-rays and he said, "We unfortunately have to tell you, you have cancer."
Diagnosed with granuloma on the lung cancer, chemotherapy and radiation was quickly prescribed as a treatment.
Now I had to see what am I going to do about this. Of course, they wanted me to do radiation and chemotherapy, and as you will see a little bit later when you add this in, some of the footage of the doctors that I now interviewed, where they say, "Basil, you know, we have been losing cancer, we're losing the battle against cancer. We have tried every methodology that we know and all the modalities, and we are losing this battle."
Refusing to undergo chemotherapy, Basil researched everything there was to know about cancer, believing he can get cured.
I mean, I met the world's famous, the Nobel Prize winners, Patrick Flanagan, Dr. Dwayne Townsend, Dr. Gangemi has got more degrees than I've seen anybody on cancer. And I've met every doctor who had ever written books on cancer, which I'll show you a little later, of how we can overcome, not only regress the disease, but how we can totally overcome cancer without any drastic measures. Welcome to Las Vegas, the gambling mecca of the world. Are you juggling with your health problems and gambling with your life? You lose. Stay tuned to see how you win.
He further had his own TV show interviewing different types of doctors about the reversing of any disease.
Compelled to help change people's lives. Two-time winner Crystal Awards. The man who tells it like it is. Basil Gold.
World-renowned doctors, Dr. Dwayne Townsend, medical doctor, advisor to the World Health Organization, all these people, they all started agreeing with me, which was very strange. And he said, it is time that we get away from this severe radiation, chemotherapy, and we start looking at the alternatives that are available to us. And thus, I came on board.
Basil Gold found out a whole lot of facts on the reversing of diseases in a human body. Using natural cures for his cancer, he discovered what the body needs and started implementing it.
And we continue with the story right after the commercial break. Stay with us.
Expect it, they'll appear magnificent. The lives, the souls, the OMG of the party, in all their glorious, glory. Ah, yes, we salute you, party comrade, with a bottle of Clipdrift brandy and a 6-pack of Savannah Dry or Light combo for just 160 Rand from Tops at Spa.
Police found powerful military explosives when they swooped on a house in Springs on the Gauteng.
Some of the weapons seized at this house included rocket-propelled grenades, rifles, and even rounds of ammunition.
All military explosives that we found that you cannot obtain a commission.
The weapons found at the house not only had the potential to cause major damage to property, but they also put many lives at risk.
I could have lost any one of my family members, or most of my family members.
Welcome to Bophelong right here on the SABC News. On his journey to discover alternative means of treatment, Basil Gold discovered that using natural medicine was actually his calling. Here is more of his journey.
Basil Gold, better known as the doctor's doctor, was diagnosed with granuloma on the lung when he was 30 years of age. Declared cancer-free after going on an extensive health research, it's been over 2 decades now without any sign of his cancer coming back. He's now a living testimony that cancer or any other ailment can be regressed. His mission now is to take his natural cures to the people. With these simple steps, Dr. Gold now shows us how life can be a bliss.
I made these transitions. They were difficult, but then I wanted to live. I was in my 30s. I had a long life ahead of me. So I gave up everything and started on this new regime. Then I met another doctor, and I went around the world and found out all the items, all the supplements that had efficacy and worthiness, like chlorophyll, enzymes, vitamins, minerals, carbohydrates, proteins, essential fatty acids, purified water, and air. Those are the 9 things that I needed in my body.
He changed his entire lifestyle.
I missed my Coca-Cola and then all the things that I used to have. And if I did have coffee, I would have it black now, no more cow's milk. When I saw what cow's milk does in the human body, then I studied further, and I also studied in the Bible, and it said, excuse me, the man who drinks milk must be a baby. This is the only milk you're supposed to drink, from the mother's breast, not from the animal.
Consistently and properly nourishing his body, months later, Basil's life was seen as a living miracle.
3 months later, I went into Dr. Witt, was his name, top surgeon in Hollywood, and had an x-ray taken. I said, I don't want x-rays in my body. I'll allow one x-ray, that's it. You're not going to do a lot of x-rays on me, because it's not good for the body, you know. So he said, go down. I came back up and brought the x-rays, and he looked at it, and he said, he couldn't find the granuloma, he couldn't find the cancer. He said, go back down and go and have another x-ray from behind and this side and that side. And I said, doctor, it's gone.
Cancer-free, Dr. Gold says he's always been confident on his Basil Gold regime.
I felt I could walk on water. That is the inspiration.
He insists that knowing all these things does not qualify him as a doctor.
And I always say to people, stop. Why does everybody want to call me doctor? Yes, I'm a naturopathic, but I prefer being called Basil in America or Basil in South Africa. So I don't want to be classified as a doctor, because I will not abrogate from my duties of using drugs and chemicals and chemotherapy and these drastic measures.
Herman Sogolela says the knowledge imparted by Basil Gold when he first came to consult was life-changing.
How many do you need?
Currently, I simply take a spoon of the greens, and because I don't like it with water, I use apple juice. So the advice was that I must use a pure 100% apple juice together with those greens. And that has replaced the apple a day. I mean, that thing lasts for about 3 months for me.
Panele, an employee at Basil's practice, says his work and knowledge is worth being celebrated.
I've seen people getting healed. The energy levels of the customers that come here, they're in higher spirit now, because most of them came in at a very low spirit, but now their energy has just boosted up, their confidence has boosted, their skin is more radiant as well.
People flocking in for knowledge on how to heal their bodies. Basil has since written a book named The Natural Cures.
And after the break, we hear from a young girl whose life was saved by Basil Gold.
Probably you should ask the question, is the ICC targeting African leaders?
For the life of me, I would hate to be charged with crimes against humanity. Very few people can deny nor ignore that there are crimes being committed on the African continent at this very moment. Now, we need to be able to hold people to account regardless of where they are from.
South Africa has a body of international law that it's committed itself to, that seeks to counter impunity in the world when it comes to gross human rights violations. In this specific instance, we have a problem. By the way, you must remember that South Africa has a law on extradition and mutual legal assistance that enable us to extradite any fugitive of justice from anywhere in the world so that they can stand trial for whatever crimes.
Paperwork. Give me that paperwork.
Where is your paperwork?
I don't know what's going on. Suddenly I'm locked up.
This is not fair, Senator Basil. Not fair.
Ukuputse rent ka 200. Have you put like 200? Uri ngwana, we won. 150 plus. Another 150.
I'm just the one to lock you out.
Yes,
I'm
that's
the
one to
keys.
lock me then out.
You are starting gangsterism.
No!
Welcome back to the show. We are at the last stretch of our show. Have a look at how we conclude Basil Gold's journey.
Basil Gold, 75 and stronger than anyone, has been celebrated for his knowledge on regressing his lung cancer, helping others on regressing leukemia cancer. He has since received 2 Crystal Awards and many testimonials from former President Bill Clinton and Thabo Mbeki.
Many of the testimonials from the President, Bill Clinton, and many doctors, and from UCLA University professors and lecturers, from the World Health Organization. So many of them are listed in my new book. It's got all the testimonials of these doctors. Some of them very flattering. John Barron, the editor-in-chief of the Barron Report, which is a medical report every doctor gets in America, has been going for years. When I interviewed him, he said that people need to start taking heed and listening to me, because this scientific knowledge, he said, Basil, you are a pioneer, a saint and a prophet.
Through his book, many lives have been changed, including Bali Plose, who was diagnosed with severe plastic anemia.
I was diagnosed in 2010, March 2010, and the condition that I was diagnosed with was severe plastic anemia, which is a condition caused by the bone marrow not producing its own red blood cells. And I was dependent on blood transfusions thereafter, as well as I had parents who were fortunate to go all over and find more assistance and help outside,
As a 10-year-old, her condition left her feeling hopeless.
At that time, I was a child who was just there like, okay, well, it's whatever. If you die tomorrow, then you die. If you live, you live. So I didn't really care. I was just there.
Greg Blossom, Bali's father, says his daughter's diagnosis came as a shock to the family.
Bali was diagnosed way back in 2010 with a condition called severe aplastic anemia. It basically means that her body loses all blood in her system, to the point that she loses energy, and she loses the very essence of life itself, because without blood in her body, she would technically be declared dead.
The Blosser family went everywhere looking for a treatment that would help their daughter.
The condition itself, the ailment itself, severe plastic anemia, needed to be treated. And the treatment is a very traumatizing experience on its own. I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a nice thing to see your child suffering for real before your eyes, and you are almost helpless as to what you can do.
She's clothed. Although her treatment, which included radiation and blood transfusions, was taking a toll on her, Bali was strong.
And so that was the worst thing ever. I know when they just told me that I had to stay in the hospital, especially when there weren't bloods and stuff like that, that was my worst nightmare, because there were the things of staying in hospital and seeing others as well, some worse cases than myself. It just put me off. It just threw me off another edge. But in terms of the treatment, I changed complexion wise. What you see now is much better.
Just when hope was bleak, the Blosser family got a miracle call that gave them hope.
So she appeared on that show, and they're talking about blood, the importance of blood donation, because her role was also to help to encourage other people to donate blood, having been a recipient and a beneficiary herself. And so during the show, when she was talking about her condition, we received a call, because it was also a call-in show. One of the callers called in and requested to talk to us after the show. And this is a person who had been assisted before by Dr. Gold and together with his family. And so he recommended and introduced us to Dr. Gold.
They were connected to Basil Gold, and Mbali smiles when thinking about her first consultation.
Oh, my first impression of Dr. Gold was wow. When I got to his place, I looked at it and I was like, there's a lot going on in this place. I wonder what's going on in all those different things, if he could just explain it. And when he did explain it, I was just blown away, like, okay, so this is what actually happens in our lives, and the things that we eat, the water that we drink, you know, all those things. And honestly, that helped us change in the house, because we took the advice that he gave us about taking your greens just to fill on to the normal greens that you eat every day. That helped us, because we're still taking greens now.
She now can't stop raving about Basil Gold's solution.
With my condition as it was, I used to be a person who was very, very tired. I used to sleep through about 5 periods of class at school. So when I started drinking the water, I would go through at least 5 periods, and then for the last 2 or something like that, that's when I'd become flat. But yeah, it actually helped me, my energy get better.
Cancer-free, Mbali's body can now generate blood on its own. She's full of life and can't wait for what the future has in store for her.
I feel amazing, because you know, all that he talks about contributes, and you know, it's made me who I am today.
Hopeful and living her life to its optimum, Mbali goes around encouraging other cancer patients.
Find Dr. Gold, because he will definitely help you, and he'll show you what is going on out here, because sure, I mean, it does really make a difference what Dr. Gold has proven to us and my parents as well.
Her dad says words cannot begin to express his gratitude to Basil Gold.
With Dr. Gold, you go through an experience where you learn about these things. You acquire a lot of information and a lot of knowledge. And for that reason, we felt that he could help or contribute in helping Mbali. Through Dr. Gold, we learned that bacteria does not thrive in oxygen. So the more you feed proper balances of oxygen, or improve oxygen intake of the body, you improve the body's ability to fight off illnesses and ailments. So it was quite helpful.
Mbali's life has a new meaning now because of Basil Gold.
A very great big thanks to Dr. Gold, because he contributes to me being here today and being alive and free from the condition that I used to have. So very big thank you, Dr. Gold.
Referred to as the doctor's doctor, a pioneer, a Crystal Award recipient, Basil Gold is a force to be reckoned with.
Thank you for watching. Until next week, it's a goodbye from us here on the show.